Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala syarafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah. In the previous two videos, I've explained to you how we developed the psychological assessment, the purpose of psychological assessment and the whole domain of psychological assessment within the framework of CBT. Alright, so I've given you the understanding of the person, the behavior, the treatment plan, the evaluation outcome, and then what are the domains of assessment in terms of clinical interview, mental status, physical examination, and the other domains in terms of developmental history, family, medical history, mental history, academic, and so on, and then behavioral assessment, alright, and behavioral observation towards the development of the psychological testings and projective tests. So all these things give us a broad overview of the whole idea of psychological assessment within the framework of cognitive behavior therapy, as well as other models of psychology, including DBT, MBCT, and all the other variants that is coming out now. But they use exactly almost the same thematic approaches, but for example, like MBCT, mindfulness-based, they have other quotient measuring your mindfulness. So how are we going to develop our Pi-CBT assessment system? So we have to have a research team, but I'm going to give you a broad overview of how we are going forward in the way we are thinking. In terms of positive Islamic cognitive behavior therapy, we will use all these domains. We are not going to throw all these things. We are not going to throw whatever they have developed in terms of the psychological world over the last 30, 40 years, which is fantastic. A lot of them are evaluation that are also very scientifically or statistically proven. So if we are going to develop our model, how are we going to think about it? And I'm going to give you a broad overview today, inshallah, so that those of you who are in psychology, doing a PhD or master's, can develop this framework for our psychological assessment in terms of the four domains. So I've mentioned to you this whole idea of psychology within positive Islamic psychology. We use the Al-Ghazali model, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with the SEMP. Allah created us with the Ruh, Al-Qalb, Ar-Ruh. Allah created us with the Qalb. Because we are using this as a dominant influencer in terms of our life on this world, the Qalb, or the intuitive heart. Then we have the mind, the Aqal, and then we have the Jasad. So this model I've explained to you in many videos before that. You must understand this Al-Ghazali approach because it's all integrated. It is only used in terms of its references. So if we talk about SEMP integration, it is the whole integration. They are working together. They are not separate. That means you're talking that if I'm going to give you some aspect of, say, the EQ, the MQ, the PQ, or the SQ, what does it mean? It doesn't mean that it's working alone. It's not that spiritually you're working only within the spiritual domain, or you talk about EQ only the intuitive heart or emotional domain, okay, or the MQ. So what it is all about? First, if we look at PQ, what is PQ? Physical quotient. So we are trying to do a physical quotient, and we have to create a domain for our assessment. So there's a lot of physical things in the other assessment tests, but it covers, for example, nutrition, lifestyle, all physical aspects, holistic wellness, life events, work and career, personal development, etc. So all these things comes within the preview of our physical quotient, how we're going to lead life in terms of our finance and so on. All right. Then we have our MQ. We are using MQ. What is MQ? Mind. Akal is mind. Akal is not otak or brain. It is mind. So we talk about mind, because mind is a spiritual entity. Just like our akal is a spiritual entity, our qalb is also the spiritual entity, our ruh also is the spiritual entity. Alright? So within this nafs, it is all integrated into at the point of convergence. That means our PQ goes back to the nafs, our MQ goes back to the nafs, our EQ goes back to the nafs, our SQ goes back to the nafs. Alright? So we talk about our mind, mental quotient, or mental development in terms of the totality, holistic development. So we are talking about what? Mindfulness, Definitely, we're talking about detached observation. You can observe yourself detached from your reality so that you can become the observer to the live play. You have your holistic IQ, because people talking about the brain, they have IQ, but you must have holistic IQ. That means a transcendental awareness, self-meaning in life. Then you have naturalistic intelligence. Okay, naturalistic intelligence. So all this is within the domain of your MQ, which is a new term. People may say, hey, funny, what is that? You have your mind quotient. It is, because now the science of mindfulness is coming in, and there are many more domains. I'm just giving you some background to this only, to create this idea of Pi-CBT domains of assessment. Then we talk about EQ. This EQ is not a normal emotional quotient. It is actually the intuitive heart quotient, because this cult, as mentioned by Imam Ghazali, is the loci of control. So long as we live in this world, the cult, and it's in the Quran mentioned many, many times about the nature of the cult. It is not the eye that is blind, but the heart that is blind. So it is the cult that is controlling what? The realization of our self-awareness, our awareness of others, all right, our sense of integrity, our emotional expression, our interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. So if you study the science of multiple intelligence, we have our interpersonal, social intelligence, how we react with ourselves, our family, our society, and so on, internally, within our realms of the SEMP. And then they have values like forgiveness, love, acceptance, compassion, serving others, resilience, etc. So we are talking about the EQ aspect. Then we have the SQ. All right, the SQ aspect, what? SQ aspect is talking about realization of the spiritual realms, because if you deny this, then you are denying your belief in God. So you must understand of who you are, why you are on this earth, who is the creator, and so on, in aspect of the three realms of Islam, that is the Islam, Rukun Iman, and Ihsan. So you have to develop that realization. Then the spiritual realm also, you must discover truth, because what is a truth? Truth cannot be relative. Truth must be truth. So how are you going to discover that truth in terms of the spiritual intelligence? Then you need to know about what is a spiritual vision, because in Islam there is a shuhud. You can understand at a higher level of shuhud, to understand the reality of the spiritual world as if you are here and now. This is not a fantasy. This is a reality. This is not delusional. These are what our great masters, our great scholars, our great imam experience in their life. All right, so they can understand the awareness, the closeness, and the reality of Godhood becoming so close that they themselves understand this total reality. Okay. Then how are you going to connect with God at various level? At the beginner's level, intermediate level, at the higher level, within our realms of the nafs, as I have given you in the previous video, within the range of nafsul ammara to lawamah to mutmainnah. And then, most important also, knowing our role as a Caliph of Allah. This is where our whole idea of our book, Positive Islamic Psychology, a transcendent model to achieve peace, happiness, and success in the 21st century. The whole idea of being the Caliph of Allah must be re-emphasized in the whole Muslim world, because that is what Allah commanded us to be when we were created. So that is a very important idea of leading a wonderful life, to become a true sincere servant of Allah as His Caliph on the earth, always striving to be good ourselves, helping others to be good, and making the world good. All right, and then we also know from the spiritual aspect the nature of right and wrong, intrinsically, not relatively. All right, and then values and belief systems. So all these are domains, inshallah. If we can develop a team of Muslim psychologists, they can come up with this idea. And if we develop this SQ plus EQ plus MQ plus PQ, then we create SEMP, integrated human beings. So you have the spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically integrated human beings that will change the landscape of the ummah. Inshallah, this ummah will be the best ummah that ever existed in the 21st and 22nd century, with this understanding of our SQ, EQ, MQ, and PQ. And what do you want to achieve? We want to achieve peace, happiness, self-esteem, harmonious life, success in this life, and so many other things, and the fulfillment of our role and duty to be the sincere servant of Allah, to be His Caliph on the earth, and always striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, making the world good, inshallah.